All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to be exploring the intersection of history, sustainability, and practical living. Today, we are diving into one of the most transformative pieces of legislation in American history, the Homesteading Act of 1862, and exploring what homesteading looks like in modern America. If you've ever dreamed of living off the land, growing your own food, or achieving a more self-sufficient lifestyle, this episode is for you. We'll travel back to 1862 when Abraham Lincoln signed a law that would reshape the American landscape. Then fast forward to today to see how modern homesteaders navigate a completely different legal landscape. Whether you're in a rural farmhouse, a suburban subdivision, or a downtown apartment, stick around because sustainable living is possible wherever you are, and I'll show you exactly how to make it happen legally and successfully. Welcome, witches, pagans, heathens, spiritualists, and anyone interested in living sustainably. This is
Old Ways, New Days, where the old ways meet the good dirt.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nell. And each week we explore the sacred art of living close to the land. From compost to covens, chickens to charms,
We're reclaiming self-sufficiency, seasonal living, and ancestral wisdom.
whether you're stirring your cauldron or your soup pot,
This is a space for wild-hearted folk walking the homesteading path with intention, magic, and muddy boots. Welcome back, Nell.
glad to be back.
How are you feeling? You were sick last time.
Oh, it was horrible that I was sick.
Yeah.
I'm feeling much better.
Good.
I still have a slight cough, so once in a while you might hear me cough yet. But yeah, I was sick for 5 days.
That's a lot.
It was awful. I was pretty much in bed the whole time.
That's not good.
No,
Was it like COVID or just a flu?
just
or...
a flu.
Oh, okay.
It-
Stomach or sinus?
Sinus, all sinus.
Oh, so hard to breathe.
I
and-
could not breathe at all.
That sucks.
It was horrible. I wish it upon nobody.
Yeah. So the little housekeeping here. I'm waiting for the internet window to come up because my computer's being weird. Just wanted to let our listeners know that something came to our attention. We do have some magical episodes that are hidden behind a paywall. We are not on Patreon. The paywall is only through Buzzsprout, and some of the podcast platforms do not show those. So if you're listening on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you might not see them. So you may have to figure out how to get to Buzzsprout if you wanted to see those and listen to those. I do know membership starts as low as $3 a month, which is pretty inexpensive. And we do have some, I thought they were pretty decent episodes.
And one of them just happens to be the day before my birthday.
The day before your birthday, yeah. So, and then also, I dove further into all of our listener territories and cities, and we did get some more movement on our Facebook page, so that kind of helps tell me that we have more people listening, or at least interacting with us. So I wanted to give a shout out to some cities and some possible listeners. Even though I don't know your names, I know where you are. So we have Minneapolis, Minnesota, Cottage Grove, Minnesota, Brisbane, Queensland, so yay, in Australia, awesome. Lakeville, Minnesota, Plainfield, Connecticut, Crescent, Pennsylvania, Mays Landing, New Jersey, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Kansas City, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio, Roseville, Minnesota, Waikiki, Iowa, Markham, Ontario, Las Vegas, Nevada, Spring Grove, Illinois, Livonia, Michigan, San Francisco, California, Rochester, Minnesota, Jersey City, New Jersey, St. Paul, Minnesota, Honolulu, Hawaii, Manchester, Corvallis, Pennsylvania, New Baltimore, Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Seymour, Indiana, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Milan, province of Milan. So Italy, that's new. Boardman, Oregon, Richmond, Virginia, Los Angeles, California, Warwick, New York, Rosemont, Minnesota, Gibbons, British Columbia, Mobile, Alabama, Santa Ana, California, Jacksonville, Florida, and Woodbury, Minnesota. So welcome all you listeners. If I did not mention your city, it did not appear on our list, so I apologize for that. Make sure your GPS is located on your phone or your listening device, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Welcome all new listeners. We really appreciate having you here. We love that you are participating with us today.
Yeah, that's awesome that we're reaching that far out.
I know, around the world.
Yeah.
And we finally reached the Southern Hemisphere, so that's kind of cool.
It is.
I know, so we should probably start doing some Southern Hemisphere things, because their temperatures and their seasons are completely different than us.
Absolutely, yep.
All right, so today's topic, it's kind of, I don't know what's going on with my computer today. It is very heavy-hitting. It's very historical.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
You gotta drink that coffee.
Yep, drink that coffee.
All right.
Let's set the scene. It's May 20th, 1862. The Civil War is raging, tearing the nation apart. Yet, on this day, President Abraham Lincoln takes time to sign a piece of legislation that would become one of the most significant acts in American history, the Homestead Act. But this wasn't a new idea. The desire for free land had been driving westward migration since colonial days. By the 1850s, prominent figures like Horace Greeley, the famous New York Tribune editor who coined the phrase, "Go west, young man," were passionately advocating for homestead legislation. Labor unions supported it. The Free Soil Party championed it. They called it Land for the Landless. The first homestead bill was actually presented to Congress way back in 1846. Ohio Senator Benjamin Wade called it a great question of land to the landless, but it took 14 years of political wrangling before it passed in 1860, only to be vetoed by President James Buchanan.
By the way, President James Buchanan was my great-great-great-great-great-great uncle.
The more you know.
I know. Great. Way to go, uncle.
Yeah. And now look at you.
I know.
You're vetoing his veto.
I know. I am vetoing his veto. All right.
How do you like them apples?
Exactly. All right. Why the opposition? Southern states feared it would bring anti-slavery settlers to the territories. Employers worried it would drain the labor pool and drive up wages. The economic and political battle was fierce. But then came the 1860 election. The Republican Party platform promised a new homestead bill. Lincoln won. The southern states seceded, and suddenly the political obstacles vanished.
Weird.
I know. Well, this is, of course, when the Republican Party was different than the Republican Party today.
Yes. We won't get into
that.
that.
This is as political as we're going to get.
So what did the Homestead Act actually offer? Let me break down the deal that would lure hundreds of thousands of people to risk everything for a new life on the frontier. The terms: 160 acres of free land. That's about 65 hectares, or roughly 121 football fields. Minimal filing fee, just a small administration cost. 5-year commitment, you had to live on the land, work it, and improve it. Build a residence. You need to construct an actual dwelling. Took effect January 1st, 1863.
Who could claim this land? Here's where it gets really interesting. The only personal requirements were to be 21 years old or the head of the family, That's it. That meant U.S. citizens could claim land, freed slaves could claim land, new immigrants intending to become naturalized could claim land, single women could claim land.
Yes.
I know, right? And people of all races were eligible. For 1862, this was remarkably progressive legislation. While it wasn't perfect, and we'll talk about its complications, it opened doors that had been firmly shut for millions of people.
So the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of thousands of people flooded westward to Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakota Territory, and what would become Oklahoma. They came in covered wagons, on horseback, on foot, carrying everything they owned and dreams of a better future. But here's what often gets left out of the romantic frontier narrative. The Homestead Act was particularly significant for African Americans. More than 25,000 Black Americans moved to Kansas during the 1870s and 1880s in what became known as the Exoduster movement, named after the biblical Exodus and escape from oppression. These families were fleeing Jim Crow laws, violence, and the oppressive sharecropping system in the South. While the West wasn't the racial paradise some rumors promised, Black homesteaders found more opportunity there than they ever had in the South. For thousands of formerly enslaved people, the Homestead Act represented something previously unimaginable, the chance to own their own land. The numbers are staggering. In total, approximately 270 million acres, that's about 109 million hectares, were distributed under the 1862 Homestead Act. To put that in perspective, that's an area larger than Texas and California combined.
It's a lot of land. And what we don't talk about in this is that's also a lot of indigenous peoples who were misplaced.
Yes. And the act remained in effect for more than a century. In fact, the very last claim made under the original Homestead Act was granted in 1988. Yes, you heard me right, 1988, for a parcel of land in Alaska. That's how long this law shaped American settlement. But by 1976, the Homestead Act was officially repealed for the contiguous United States. The age of free federal land had come to an end. Alaska was the exception, continuing until the final claim 12 years later.
So why did it end? If the Homestead Act was so successful, why did Congress pull the plug in 1976? The simple answer is America had fundamentally changed. First, the land was largely claimed. By the 1970s, most desirable public land had already been homesteaded or designated for other purposes: national parks, forest, wildlife refuges, military bases. The frontier had closed decades earlier. Second, agriculture had industrialized. That 160-acre plot had seemed generous in 1862. By the 1970s, it was barely viable as a commercial farm. Modern agriculture required more land, more capital, more equipment. The romantic vision of a family thriving on a small homestead didn't match economic reality anymore. Third, environmental concerns emerged. The government recognized that indiscriminate settlement had caused environmental damage: soil erosion, water depletion, destruction of native ecosystems. The push was now towards conservation, not settlement. Fourth, the law had been widely abused. Timber companies, mining interests, and speculators had found loopholes. They'd pay people to file claims, then buy the land from them. Large corporations acquired massive holdings that were supposed to go to individual families. The original intent had been corrupted.
So Alaska got special treatment because it was so vast and sparsely populated. Even after statehood in 1959, there was still a genuine need for settlement. But eventually, even Alaska said enough. That final 1988 claim in Alaska marked the true end of an era. For 126 years, you could get free land from the United States government by promising to live on it and improve it. That's over now. But here's the thing. While the Homestead Act is gone, the dream of homesteading, of self-sufficiency, of living close to the land, of producing your own food, that dream hasn't died. It's just evolved.
So, welcome to modern homesteading. No more free land, I'm afraid. But that doesn't mean the homesteading lifestyle is dead. Far from it. It's just complicated. Let me be crystal clear. Homesteading itself is not illegal in the United States, but modern homesteaders face a complex web of zoning laws, building codes, HOA regulations, and local ordinances that didn't exist in 1862. Let's break down what you're actually up against.
Zoning laws are the number one barrier for modern homesteaders, and they vary widely from place to place. What is zoning? It's a land use planning system that divides areas into zones: residential, commercial, agricultural, industrial, and dictates what you can do in each zone. Your property might be zoned in a way that prohibits the very activities that define homesteading.
So,
Somebody's at the door.
No. That's a kitty.
Oh, that's the kitty.
That's a kitty.
That's a kitty. It sounds like somebody's knocking on the door.
No, that's just a kitty doing their business.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what are some common zoning restrictions? Livestock and poultry. You want chickens in your backyard? Many cities ban them outright or limit you to hens only with strict number limits, like 3 to 6 birds maximum, which is definitely in my area. Some require your coop to be a certain distance from neighboring property lines, sometimes 20 feet, sometimes 100 feet. And in a small town, that's not possible. Like, most yards aren't even 100 feet wide.
Some people don't even have a yard.
Right. Goats, even more restricted. Many suburban zones prohibit them entirely, classifying them as farm animals, not allowed in residential areas. Bees, some cities embrace urban beekeeping, others ban it as a nuisance.
Believe it or not, some zoning codes restrict front yard gardens. There have been actual cases where homeowners were fined for growing vegetables instead of ornamental grass in their front yards. Some areas prohibit visible composting systems, even if they're well maintained and odor-free.
Building and structure restrictions. You want that greenhouse? There might be you might require a building permit and setback requirements. Planning a tool shed, check maximum square footage limits and height restrictions. Even rainwater catchment systems. Some states actively encourage them, others regulate them heavily, and a few restrict them due to complex water right laws.
Restrictions on selling produce. Many residential zones prohibit commercial activity, which means you can't sell vegetables from your property, even at a small farm stand. Running a CSA from your home, that could be classified as a business requiring commercial zoning.
Yep, I can't do it. I've already asked.
Yeah.
I know.
That's stupid. It really is.
It is very stupid. All right, continuing.
So, separate from zoning are building codes, regulations governing the actual construction of structures. What to build? Want to build your own cabin like a frontier homesteader? In most jurisdictions, you'll need building permits, plans that meet electrical codes, plumbing that meets health standards, proper foundations and structural support, inspections at multiple stages. Some aspiring homesteaders want to live in tiny houses, yurts, or other alternative structures. Many building codes don't accommodate these, requiring minimum square footage or specific construction types. Off-grid systems, solar power, composting toilets, gray water systems may require special permits and must meet specific standards.
When I was younger, I wanted to live in an underground home.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to dig down into the dirt.
There's actually a home on the way to my grandmother's house. It's been there forever, and it's built into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He has to mow his roof.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, the amount of
forever.
the amount of money you save on heating and cooling because the ground at a certain depth stays the same temperature year round.
Yep.
It's just like common sense, and not to mention like the savings people would have in tornado-prone areas. Like if your house was underground, the tornado would just go over your roof,
Right over top,
and your house would be fine. But no, we can't have it that way. Anyway, if you live in a planned community or subdivision, you've got another layer. Homeowners association rules. HOAs can be even more restrictive than city codes. They might prohibit any visible vegetable gardens. Clotheslines, even though they save energy. Chicken coops, solar panels, though laws are changing. And non-traditional landscape. Exterior paint colors that don't match the neighborhood palette. I know. HOA violations can result in fines, liens on your property, or even foreclosure in extreme cases. Before buying property with homesteading dreams, read that HOA agreement carefully, or avoid purchasing a home in an HOA area altogether. Mm-hmm. Although they seem to be
few and far between now.
Yeah, I think people have come to realize that they're just that one person, that bully who didn't get to continue being a bully. And
yep. So state-specific quirks. Some regulations vary by state in interesting ways. Rainwater harvesting. Most states legal and encouraged. Colorado, until recently, heavily restricted due to century-old water rights laws. Oregon, previously restricted, now allowed with some limits.
Raw milk sales. Some states allow direct-to-consumer sales. Others prohibit it entirely. Some allow herd shares, where you technically own part of the cow.
Cottage food laws. These govern selling homemade food products. Some states have very permissive laws allowing substantial home-based food business. Others severely restrict what you can make and how much you can earn.
So that would be, I grew all of this food in my yard. It's organic. It's very good for you. I preserved it in a very clean kitchen, and I want to sell it. That would be your cottage food, selling business. That's what that is about. So for people who don't know what cottage food laws are involving, that also includes homemade soaps, homemade lotions.
Would that also include like baked goods?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right, hunting and foraging. Most states allow foraging on public lands for personal use. Regulations vary on quantities and specific species. Some urban areas prohibit foraging in city parks. The message here isn't to discourage you, it's to prepare you. Knowledge, of course, is power. Understanding your local regulations is step one to successful modern homesteading.
Solutions for urban and suburban homesteaders. All right, enough about problems. Let's talk solutions.
All right, about time.
Even if you're in downtown apartment or a suburban subdivision, you can embrace homesteading principles. And here's how.
Know your rights and your resources. Before you plant a single seed or buy a chicken, do your homework. Step 1, research your local laws. Visit your city or county planning department website. Look for zoning maps and ordinances. Search for urban or agriculture policies. Many cities are updating codes. Call the planning office with specific questions.
Step 2. Check for supportive policies. Some cities are becoming homesteader friendly. Seattle allows up to 8 chickens in most residential zones. Portland encourages urban agriculture with specific zoning categories. Detroit has urban farming incentives. Many cities are adapting right to garden policies.
Step 3, consider variances. If your desired activity isn't explicitly allowed, you might apply for a variance, which is an exception based on special circumstances, a conditional use permit, or a zoning change. This requires paperwork, fees, and often a public hearing, but it is possible.
Now, step 4, engage your community. Talk to neighbors before starting potentially controversial projects. Address concerns proactively. Will chickens be noisy or smelly? Explain your management plan. Will a vegetable garden look messy? Show examples of beautiful edible landscaping. Will your project affect property value? Research shows well-maintained gardens often increase them. Building community support can make all the difference.
Let's be specific. Here's what you can do based on your living situation. For apartment dwellers, container gardening. Balcony gardens can produce surprising amounts of food. Grow herbs, lettuce, tomatoes, peppers in pots. Vertical gardening maximizes space. Many vegetables thrive in containers. Also, indoor gardening. Herb gardens on sunny windowsills. Microgreens in trays are often ready to harvest in 7 to 14 days. Sprouts require no soil, just jars and water. LED grow lights expand possibilities.
Mushroom cultivation. Growing gourmet mushrooms indoors is surprisingly easy. Oyster mushrooms can grow in a closet. Kits make it beginner friendly.
Food preservation. Even without a garden, you can preserve seasonal produce from farmers markets. Canning, fermenting, dehydrating, freezing. Build food security and reduce costs.
Community involvement. Join a community garden for access to a plot. Participate in seed libraries and tool shares. Connect with local food co-ops.
For suburban homesteaders, maximize your yard. Edible landscaping. You want to replace those ornamental plants with productive ones. Blueberry bushes instead of decorative shrubs. Fruit trees instead of shade trees. Herbs in flower beds. This often bypasses restrictions on vegetable gardens.
Sheet mulching and raised beds. Convert lawn to productive garden space. Raised beds improve drainage and soil quality. Look attractive and organized.
Backyard chickens, where legal. Start with hens only, quieter than roosters. Keep coops clean to minimize odor and pests. 3 to 4 hens can provide eggs for a family. Many breeds are quiet and friendly.
Well, composting. Turn kitchen and yard waste into valuable soil amendment. Modern composters contain odors. Reduce landfill waste significantly.
And a lot of cities now also have a composting program.
That's awesome.
Yes. I know locally you can get free compostable bags, and you put your household compost into those bags, and then supposedly the machines just pick them out in the processing. And then the local city actually will provide you with a separate bin. Like, so you have your trash, your recycling, and then a compost bin.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. I mean, and then they give you a discount.
Because you're
composting.
Yep,
Yeah.
separating them out.
Yeah. So rainwater harvesting. Rain barrels collect roof runoff for irrigation. You want to check local regulations first, and these can significantly reduce water bills as you're using the rainwater to water your vegetable garden versus the hose.
Yep. Beekeeping where legal. A couple of hives can pollinate your garden and provide honey. Requires education and proper equipment. Many cities now allow it with permits.
Food preservation. You can freeze, dehydrate, and ferment your harvest. Root cellars or cool storage for winter vegetables, and proper storage extends harvest for months.
So now, sustainable living beyond food production. Modern homesteading isn't just about food. It's a mindset of self-sufficiency and sustainability. Energy independence. Solar panels, increasingly HOA protective by state laws. Solar water heaters, energy efficient appliances. Proper insulation reduces heating and cooling needs.
There's also a company, I think it's called Ridgeline, not sponsored, that does wind turbines that sit literally on the ridge of your roof and produce energy based off of the wind that goes over your roof.
And that'd be so much better than just having all of these solar fields. It's like, why can't you just put them on roofs of buildings that are already existing?
And we can talk about land use in another episode.
It's so frustrating.
It is. It very is.
Driving down and all you see is a field of solar panels.
Completely wasted. Yes. Water conservation. You want to use low flow fixtures. Gray water systems where legal, which is very few and far between. For those people who don't know, gray water systems take water from your sinks and your shower and put it in through like your toilet so that you're reusing the water twice before it ends up in the sewer. So there's multiple ways you can do it. You can even have it filtered through a planting system if you have like a greenhouse. But yeah, the gray water systems are actually ingenious, and I wish they were legal more and in use more.
And perhaps eventually many years down the road, probably not in our lifetime.
Yeah, definitely not in our lifetime.
But who knows?
Yeah. You want to use, institute drought-tolerant landscaping and mulching to retain soil moisture.
Waste reduction, composting organic waste, repairing instead of replacing, buying secondhand, DIY skills, reduce consumption.
Develop skills. You want to, learn how to preserve food. We will be doing an episode on that eventually. Develop carpentry skills, study plant propagation, master basic plumbing and electrical work. You don't have to be an expert, but knowing at least how to repair something will save you money in the long run. And then take up sewing, mending, and any kind of crafting. One, it's good at reducing stress and anxiety. And two, you can accomplish something.
Yeah, and just feeling like patching a hole in a pair of jeans, it's rewarding in itself.
Yes.
That you've done it yourself. Instead of, oh, these are horrible, these are ripped now, I gotta throw them out and get a new pair. Just put a patch over it.
And all of these encompass self-sustaining and self-sufficiency.
Actually,
yeah.
Exactly. And they become your garden jeans now.
Right.
Just
or a new fashion trend.
I'm all about it. I don't care. So now, financial homesteading. Reduce debt. Build emergency funds. Develop multiple income streams. Practice mindful spending.
And I do want to do an episode on how, as homesteaders, we can produce a second income on our homesteading.
Yeah, I need that.
Yes, because that is something that people want to know how to do. Like the the cottage food, industry. Anyway, back to
back on track.
Back on track. Community resilience. Share your resources with neighbors. That's what we do here with you. We want to share our knowledge with you so that everyone can be on the same page.
You may not be our next door neighbor, but you're our neighbor by listening.
And you're our neighbor because you live on this planet.
Yeah. Well, some of you might. I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
I'm a weirdo. I'll admit it.
I mean, yeah, the algorithm might not show that there's somebody on Alpha Centauri listening. Who knows? Trade skills and harvest. You know, maybe you know how to, you know, do metal work, and your neighbor might know how to do woodwork. Trade skills. Organize community gardens. Maybe you have a small plot, but your neighbor has a bigger plot. You know how to garden and they don't. Share that knowledge with each other. Share the space with each other. You know, maybe they're willing to give up a small part of their yard so that you can both benefit from fresh food. And then you're both saving money in the long run.
Yeah, and you're better at doing this. They're better at doing that. Combine the two, and you're great at both.
And, you know, if somebody has a resource that you don't have, but you have the knowledge on how to use that resource, that's how we all become better as a community, and we become, you know, just better people, in general. And then, of course, you know, support your local food systems. You have food, you know, food shelves or farmers markets, co-ops. Support them. Support local growers. Support locally made. Support those people who, you know, are in the community.
Absolutely.
You know, where you live. I know we aren't necessarily where you live, but, you know, we also like it if you support us, because we are sharing the knowledge.
We're supporting you by giving you our knowledge.
Right.
So the point is, you don't need 160 acres of prairie to be a homesteader. You need a commitment to self-reliance, sustainability, and continuous learning.
So let's address the elephant in the room. Sometimes homesteading activities exist in legal gray areas or face unjust restrictions. How do you navigate this ethically and practically? Some regulations feel outdated or overly restrictive. A law prohibiting front yard vegetables, for example, might seem arbitrary, but here's my advice. Work within the system first. Attend your city council meetings. Join planning commission hearings. Connect with local food policy councils. Advocate for updated regulations. You might change something. You might be the one person who could change the entire way your community runs.
It just takes one voice.
It really does. And then, of course, organize with your other homesteaders in your community. Real change is happening. Many cities have updated codes because residents spoke up.
Consider civil disobedience carefully. Some homesteaders choose to operate in gray areas, keeping a few chickens quietly despite prohibition. Excuse me. Some homesteaders choose to operate in gray areas, keeping a few chickens quietly despite prohibition. For example, I can't recommend breaking laws, but I can say, understand the potential consequences. Good neighbor relations are crucial. Most enforcement is complaint driven. Be prepared to comply or face penalties if discovered.
Yeah, you know, like where I live on a corner, so I only have 2 direct neighbors, and one's never home. So if I got chickens and I was in an area that couldn't have chickens, I could be like, look, I'll give you some eggs. I'll keep them quiet. I'll keep them fragrant free.
If you
shut up. Hush, hush, hush.
Keep it hush.
keep it down low.
Keep it on the DL.
Document everything. If you're pushing boundaries, keep records of your research. Document that your activities aren't causing harm. You know, build your community support. Be prepared to present your case.
Now, finding legal alternatives, sometimes the best approach is creative compliance. Instead of livestock, partner with a nearby farm. Work in exchange for meat and dairy. Join a farm CSA or co-op. Support local producers.
Instead of on-site sales, participate in farmers markets. Join community-supported agricultural networks and barter with neighbors, which is often less regulated.
Instead of permanent structures, use portable or temporary structures that don't require permits. Explore what counts as garden structures versus buildings.
Instead of challenging HOAs, work to change HOA bylaws from within. Run for HOA board positions. Find like-minded neighbors to support changes. The goal isn't to break the law. It's to understand the law well enough to work effectively within it or to change it.
So here we are, from the wide open prairies of 1862 to the regulated complexity of 2026. The Homestead Act gave away 270 million acres over 126 years. That era is over. You can't get free land from the government anymore. But the spirit of homesteading, that drive towards self-sufficiency, that desire to produce rather than just consume, that commitment to living more sustainability, that spirit is alive and well. It's just adapted to modern reality.
Today's homesteaders might be the apartment dweller growing microgreens and herbs on a windowsill, the suburban family raising backyard chickens and canning tomatoes, the urban beekeeper producing honey on a rooftop, the small plot intensive gardener feeding their family from 1,000 square feet, the DIY enthusiast learning to repair, build, and create instead of buying.
Yes, you'll face regulations that homesteaders of 1862 never imagined. Yes, you'll need to research zoning codes and building permits and HOA rules. Yes, it's more complicated than throwing seeds on virgin prairie. But it's also more accessible in many ways. You don't need to leave civilization. You don't need to risk everything on a dangerous wagon journey. You don't need 160 acres. You just need commitment, creativity, and a willingness to learn.
Our challenge to you, wherever you are right now, take one homesteading step this week. Plant something edible, learn a food preservation skill, research your local regulations, attend a city council meeting about urban agriculture, join a community garden, or if it's still winter where you are, sign up for one, because I'm sure the sign-up lists are coming out soon.
That, or they already have and they're starting to plant their seeds.
Yeah. Start composting. Reduce your energy consumption. Turn off that light if you're not in the room. Learn to fix something instead of replacing it. The modern homesteading movement is building resilience one household at a time, creating community, food security, and reconnecting people with the sources of their sustenance.
Abraham Lincoln couldn't have imagined 21st century homesteading, but I think he'd approve of the spirit. Ordinary people working hard to build better lives, one careful step at a time.
So thanks for listening today. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone considering a more sustainable life. Show notes with all resources and references mentioned today are in the episode description.
Until next time, keep growing,
keep learning,
and keep building the life you want.
Whether it's on 160 acres
or a 10 by 10 balcony. So, another little side note before we let you go. Our next episode is going to be a bit on the darker side. So we wanted to give you a little warning.
Yes. It's a venture or a side swipe.
It's a very far left of what we are doing right now.
But it's something that Nell has wanted to do for a while now. She kind of was begging to go in this direction. And since it's January and there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as homesteading for us in the Northern Hemisphere, I figured, I did the research and found the topic. And it is dark and there is some
unaliving
and some non-appropriate content. So if you, especially around children, so if you are one who is sensitive to that type of material, feel free to skip it. And we will see you in the episode after that, which is going to actually be about food preservation.
Yay!
So
it'll be a way lighter note after that.
Yes. So
you might need to listen to a cleanser after that episode.
Yeah.
So just a forewarning, if like true crime is what it's about. So
Yep.
just to give you a little heads up and forewarning.
Okay, so remember, like, share, follow us on your favorite listening platform. And if you want to listen to those magical episodes, it is $3 a month on Buzzsprout. So you'll have to figure out how to get there. The link will be posted, obviously, on Facebook.